So morning starts out at 6 a.m. Or 6:30. Yesterday came back pretty late because I was invited to the TNB Aura Summit. That was like a meeting, or at least a fireside chat with quite a good number of projects out there that TNB Aura has invested in. So was able to kind of learn quite a bit from the up and coming ventures that they have invested in. Also, met a very good chap who invests in US real estate. Started out with, saved up some money, went over and bought real estate, and started to create a fund. So that was quite good. The good thing was we were able to kind of communicate and share how we kind of ran our lives, in a sense that mornings would start off with a good healthy meal, and then from there, he would go and work out. From there, he's completely vegan, and he wanted to kind of do this because he's a go-getter, but he experienced eczema. And because of that experience, he wanted to find out why was he experiencing it. Like, he was just annoyed by the fact that he was having this condition. And this guy came across to me as, when you look at him, he's clearly sharp, healthy, he's focused, he has a good stoic disposition about him. So it was interesting that when I looked at the way he communicated, right, it resonated with me because that's how I like to live my life. I like to be able to have the freedom to do things that I like. And I was thinking to myself, in the past, right, when we were younger, at least when I was younger, I was always very fearful or shy. I was very obliged to kind of always say yes. I would rarely say no, because that's just how you are, right? When you're young, you're also curious, but at the same time, sometimes you don't know what you want. And for us, right, when we were sharing our, like, how we kind of got to where we were, it was very interesting. It's not that it was never without struggles. It's always with lots of struggles. It's always with lots of challenges, sleepless nights. And he was pretty much not doing crypto. He was in, because he was focused on the US markets and everything. He would be sleeping very, very late. And although he took care of his diet, he was someone who was taking calls from the US. And when he was taking calls from the US, his days started at 10 p.m. and would end 6 a.m. Literally the next day. That goes to show that he's not taking care of himself, because when you sleep, you're actually recovering, right? And that's when you collect all the benefits of whatever you've been doing, your nutrition, your workout. Sleeping helps you to just build and grow. But if you are not doing that, if your body is not doing that, how are you going to build and grow? You just cannot, right? And that's when he suffered from his eczema. So it was a very nice story, because for me, I was someone who values freedom a lot. And at that time, before crypto, before investing in Ethereum at $9 and all that, I had no freedom. I was always just waking up early, going to work, dragging myself to work, and I could never eat what I wanted. If I wanted to work out, I had to come up with some excuse, or at least I had to perform really well for that month in order to buy my freedom, right? Because when you do well in sales, right, and that was back then in banking sales, you had to obviously do well, or else your supervisors will always be on you, right? It is just the way it is in any kind of role. Although I was able to enjoy, like, good food, but I wasn't eating optimally because I was eating food that is outside. Now, right, with the freedom that I've bought myself, or I've acquired because I've made so much money from crypto, I'm now able to eat from home. I am able to control the foods that I consume. And at the same time, I decide to go to events because I want to attend them, not because I have to. So it's very, very different. And obviously, when it comes to events, right, you have to pick and choose the events, because when you go to random events that you think are gonna value add to you, and they're kind of filled up with the wrong people, right? Because end of the day, events draw a lot of people. This was a very close knit community, right? And because it is by TNB Aura, they are inviting investors, the startups that they invested in, and at the same time they are partners. So all these factors, right? It's very streamlined and very specific. So whoever you meet there, right, is like already at a certain level. So you're not going there to waste time, right? So that's another thing. Although you have the freedom of time, and if you manage to reach this stage, you don't want to waste time still, because there's just so much things that you need to do, right? You need to focus on taking care of yourself. That's one, because taking care of yourself is the number one priority. The next thing is where you allocate your time and energy is very, very important. So all these things I gradually kind of built that momentum over time. And this was something that did not occur to me until I did so much learning from, for example, Andrew Huberman, from Chris Williamson, who kind of runs the Modern Wisdom, and Andrew Huberman, of course, Andrew Huberman Huberman Labs, about how the mind and the brain function. Sorry, there's an airplane that just flew past, so it's a little bit noisy. These are things that you want to learn. So I've always wondered, when I do a video, right, am I adding value to you? Like, to me, putting out content, right, is one thing, but putting out garbage content is another. So a lot of folks, right, in crypto at this point of time, the ones who have found true freedom always PM me and say, hey Ryan, you know what? These are the things that I've been doing, I've achieved. I'm purchasing properties in Dubai. I am now living my best life. And they don't comment much, but they're very specific on what they've been doing, right? And most of them, they do take care of their body. They are not like smashed, going out for drinks Monday through Friday, and then over the weekend they're just like hammered. That's kind of not the life that you want. That's the life that you think that you want, but that kind of life will only lead you downwards, right? So if you kind of made money in crypto, and if you will make money in crypto, a few things you need to take note of, right? Identify what it means to have freedom. You're gonna definitely spend some money. You have to, because you want to experience something that you've never experienced before. The next thing, once you've experienced that, do you know how to safely pull away, right? Because you're gonna meet people that are going to obviously be either the same, who made money quickly through crypto. They are also gonna be thinking whether they can get some money out of you. So that's the kind of some money out of you, because maybe they do have something valuable that they can offer, and you might consider them as a potential partner. That's still okay. But when it boils down to you not doing your due diligence, I feel that that's the part where it gets very scary. You are someone who just made money very recently. And someone who makes money very recently will not have the right mindset, and you're going to be very open to saying yes still, because suddenly all this money is money that you never had. You're finding yourself in networks that you've never been in. All right? So when you are still in that yes mode, like, yeah, sure, wow, let me buy you a drink, let me be the one to pay for stuff. Okay, so that's okay, people can see that. So when they start noticing you, right, that you have been kind of the one that has been spending and splurging, right, you notice, okay, more and more people will start coming, and you feel really good, like, wow, suddenly I have more friends, okay, I have more acquaintances, whatever you may see. It's good and bad, right? Because you could still build a network, but you have to be very, very clear on how you're going to filter these people. And it boils down to the level of maturity and how much knowledge you have to identify. Okay? It's not easy, because like I said, the bigger the pond, or the bigger the lake, or the pool, the more hungry the fish, the more scary the fish. So you have to identify all this, right? And don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to say no. If you are still at that stage where you don't you don't say no, you don't learn to say no fast enough to certain things, you're not really respecting yourself. You're not kind of forming boundaries. Whereas when you meet high net worth people or high level people, they'll share a good amount of information that is worth sharing, but at the same time, they're still going to hold a lot of things private. They're not going to share everything with you. And Pothead, thank you so much, man, for the journey and watching me back in 2017. Really appreciate it. So that's something that I would say that you need to learn fast. Wow, there are really a lot of planes today, man. Sheesh. Okay, so another thing I kind of want to say is that you want to also value your health above all things. The sharper you are in life, people will start coming towards you as well. The better you look, you don't look hammered and smashed, and you feel like, oh, you know, like last night I was like, whoa, I was popping bottles, so I just look really smashed. Your mind, right, is one of the most powerful instruments, and drinking lots of alcohol, waking up drunk all the time, right, is not ideal. By any means, not ideal. So I think for a start, don't get hammered. Don't do drugs. Like if you, I guess there are certain countries where you guys are okay to do drugs, right? And you know, to a certain extent, if certain drugs are, gives you that kind of psychedelic high, it gives you a certain level of dopamine. I guess it's you do you, right? But the thing that you need to know is when to stop, and a lot of people don't know when to stop, quite frankly. But it's okay, you know. I think everybody is on their journey. I'm just here to kind of provide you that level of experience, and from there you identify, what's good for you. The next thing for me is staying grounded. I have someone who was married 12 years ago, right? So I've been married for 12 years. I was in a relationship for 8 years before I got married to my now current wife, right? And that has allowed me to stay grounded. So I think a lot of guys, men, who kind of make money at a certain stage, like if you make money through a business, you value your money much more versus the people who make money in crypto. I hope that really makes sense, because I rarely see people who made money slowly at least through grinding through a business, because they know how hard it is to, they have to manage their funds better. Crypto, when you make money so quickly, you get that same level of dopamine high as if like you were shooting up on some kind of drug, right? Because it's just too fast. And quite frankly, researching on the internet versus running a day-to-day business where you're stressed out about rental, you're stressed out about your inventory not moving, you're stressed out about the day-to-day engagements and customer service versus making money from crypto. I'm not saying that they couldn't be equally as challenging. I'm just saying that it's so much easier. Okay, it's so much easier, especially if you're doing it at the right time. You still need to know when to enter and when to exit. Okay, you still need to know that. But when people make money too quickly, and if they don't have a good family nucleus, for example, you don't have parents that you need to take care of, you don't have anyone except yourself to take care of, a lot of things you can take for granted. And that's what I noticed. Most folks, or most men, or young men who make money through crypto, they are still having very, very bad habits. Sure, you can flex your Lambo, you can flex your LaFerrari or whatever. But end of the day, right, how quickly you get it, and if you don't, and you're not smart to hold that value, right, to hold and maintain your position, because you were just too, you were just too frivolous in the way that you spend and negotiate. You were not smart. You didn't have a counsel. Okay. Next thing is you don't have a counsel with you, a good bunch of friends who mean well for you. Your money will just disappear, just like that. And that's the reality. And a lot of folks will and have to come through this and come to terms with this. How many crypto millionaires through NFT, through investing in crypto, went broke? Just literally when the bear market happened. How many? Tons. So the ones that are still around, like myself, right? I can only attribute it to my family because I'm someone who has to take care of my family. I'm not someone who, buys a Lambo or whatever. I buy homes, right? I need to buy a home. I need to also at the same time take care of my family, especially my two daughters, right? Who are still very young. They need to focus on their education, and education here, especially supplementary education, or we call it tuition or elementary, extra lessons and stuff like that, to complement the schools. The schools are not expensive because I'm a citizen. Studying here is not expensive, but the actual curriculums, extra curriculums that go into it, that's a Lambo. Okay, that's a Lambo in itself monthly. So that's why I'm trying to say, you need to identify what's valuable. I'm channeling my money towards growing the next generation, right? At the same time, I focus on my health and I value my freedom. That means I decide to go when I go to an event, I go to an event. I don't want to go to an event, I don't have to go to an event. I want to go for a meeting, I go for a meeting, right? That's the value there. That to me is above all else, right? I don't have to feel like, if I don't go for this meeting, this bunch of friends are not gonna like hang out with me. I feel so afraid. I don't want to be left out. And when you're younger, you always feel very left out. You want to be that sociable guy. Like, hey, I'm the man. When I step into the club, or I step into a bar, everybody knows who the hell I am. It gets me my favorite drink. It's I kind of get it. I get it because it's like walking into it's just that recognition. Everybody wants recognition, and if you have never been recognized before for anything, like for example, I think it's like you working all this time, you were a grunt, and you're always being ordered on. Suddenly you just make this suddenly you make this switch, and suddenly people know you for like, and you feel popular. That is something that I agree that people want to experience, but you need to have a certain sense of maturity. Once you grow out of it, you realize, wow, okay, maybe that's not even what I want. That's why I still do the videos that I do, because I'm not here for the likes. I'm not even here for the views or even like monetize YouTube. I'm just here to share to whoever is willing to even listen. So that's why the crux of it is just try to find what you value in your life. For me, like I said, I value my freedom. I enjoy traveling, but I can't always travel because, like I said, my kids need to study. There's examinations that are coming up. They need to prepare. So it's not like, Ryan can just leave his family and then travel. I prefer to travel with everybody, right? So when I travel with everybody gets a good experience. I don't need to travel by myself, right? Because I've traveled enough when I was younger, right? When it was just me and my wife. And then now it's like I want to allow my children to experience, different countries, different cultures, different foods. So when they are older, they are not like having the lack, or they feel that sense of like emptiness when they haven't experienced all this. It's really the same how you suddenly made a lot of money in crypto. And sometimes your a lot of money may not be a lot of money. Sometimes it's just 100,000. Sometimes it's maybe 300,000. And quite frankly, wherever you stay, 100 to 300,000 may be nothing. In Singapore, 100 to 300,000 is nothing. You should see our homes. You should see how much our cars are worth. Then you realize, why am I talking this way? We are a high value country, guys. And that's the reality. And a lot of folks, I think, don't know, especially if they don't have a passport, or they've never even traveled to Asia. It's quite shocking sometimes when you see the level of I wouldn't say ignorance. I would just say that because your country is large enough to cater to your needs. Our country is small, right? But financially, it is very able. It's very connected. So for me, I only say that Singapore is very warm all the time, but it's very safe, right? It is just safe. If you ever want to have children here, you want to have a good education system, you want to have very fair capital gains, taxes, and everything, Singapore is still the place to be. Like so many family offices to high net worth individuals, they're all here, guys. It's just that, are you the kind that prefers, Switzerland, or you prefer, a colder country that has, lower standard of living? I think there are people who go to like other Eastern European countries or Mediterranean countries that have also very lax tax laws. But I think in terms of safety and everything, Singapore is the place to be. There's no other place like it, especially in Asia, right? That's kind of like how I feel. Then of course there are a lot of digital nomads that kind of live in Bali so that they can do a lot of stuff as well, right? A lot of OnlyFans girls are all there, they're all just like, fucking around and everything. So thinking about how you build value is also very important. To me, the whole OnlyFans thing, it's great for the platform, like genius, right? But at the end of the day, it does not create value for men. Because I think men these days have just a poor mindset. Why? Because they think that just because they are paying for someone to kind of speak to them over the internet and everything like that, they are having this very quick gratification of getting their high, right? That's not actually you're just paying for a service. And it's very sad when you think about it. It's degenerating the mind. It's also degenerating the body, because that's not how you actually get a girl, right? You're probably not gonna get her unless you're willing to pay a certain amount of money. And sure, there are men who can afford to pay, and at the same time, it creates a very poor ecosystem, thinking that women can actually make money through that. Well, you can, but my question is, once your popularity dies down as an OnlyFans, right, girl, what happens? Are you gonna suddenly go back into corporate? When you set up a business and people know that you used to do OnlyFans, what will be the implications? I think you still might have some value, but majority won't. So they'll be doing it for a good number of years, at least the younger years, until they're no longer popular, because it's just going to be saturated. Like, there's always going to be younger girls coming in all the time, right? And whether or not, and of course, naturally, the amount of men that no longer are willing to struggle and go through strife. For example, if I wanted to meet a woman, I would not put myself on an app. I would still want to go and try to meet up a person, right, in face to face and have a conversation. Whether that person can carry a conversation with me, and whether that person will like me. You make the best impressions face to face. Like a lot of keyboard warriors, right, out there, they dare to tell me something or comment about something, but we both know that we will never meet. The likelihood of that person coming straight face to face and telling me that they don't like me, or whatever I said is crap, is going to be very different, right? Face to face. Same thing. If you wanted, as a man, as a high value man, if you wanted to meet a good quality woman, right, I think meeting them in the gym is a good place, right? In school, because if both of you are in the same university or both kind of went to the same junior college, these are good places to meet. Now, what if you were at work? Then, how do you all meet? Usually, it would be in a corporate setting. That's fine as well. But if you meet online, I really don't know. I really don't know that game. I guess it could work. I'm not saying that online dating is always bad, but it's just different. It's just very different. Like, there will be a lot of chatting back and forth, and I think the game has changed. Old men like me don't know. I will probably know when my daughters are, dating. That will be much later, and thank God I don't have to deal with it now. So, guys, I feel that if you're going to be making money, if you're going to be making solid money in this space, try to quickly identify and ground yourself. Have some morals, have some integrity, and eventually, right, you will meet the right people. Surround yourself with the right people. Find yourself the right woman, right? Stop fucking around for no fucking good reason. It's okay. I guess when you're still young, you kind of want to have maybe a higher body count, you want to flex a little bit. That's also, I guess, a flex. But learn to take care of yourself and learn to respect others. That's something so important that I think few people want to talk about. Everybody's just liking to talk shit all the time, and like high body count. I've done this. I've fucked this amount of girls. I've made this amount of money. What have you done? I think it's always that kind of flex. It will never change, like I said. But eventually, you need to identify what is valuable to you. Once you identify the value for yourself, you quickly realize that you don't need a lot of things. You're going to be easily contented. You won't fall into depression. Hence, the whole mental illness, right? Because people are like just so like, what's that term? Like you're so it's like you're just all over the place, right? Once you're all over the place in terms of what you want, and you don't know what you want, right? You think you know what you want, but you're just being influenced all the time because you're not grounded, right? You don't have a set amount of principles that you want to work towards, and you're always easily affected by what other people say. Like, wow, this dude, I like the way I feel that, oh, I like the way he he has a nice car, he has a nice watch, he has a nice home, and whatever he says, probably, yeah, sure, take it in and see if that truly is what you want to work towards, right? You may, and there's nothing wrong with wanting a nice big house with a nice spanking car, wearing nicer clothes. Nothing wrong with all this. But is that truly what makes you happy? Don't buy things and only not be happy and contented. Don't spiral into that empty void. Okay? Dating girls and having someone who is steady beside you to support you, 100% I always go for the one that can support me in my endeavors, who can mentally make me feel comfortable, and not like when I date, if I was to date, because I have friends who are still single, guys, and girls are always at the end of the day wanting things for themselves. They want to know how much they can get out of you, at least when doing the dating stage, because it's so different. Because I think it's very short, right? The rotation should be very short, because now, because of an online app, it's easier to meet people. So the speed that you meet a person is going to be very quick. Guys, definitely, right? Easier to meet girls. Girls will think the same. So it's like there's going to be this strange, not strange, but more of a very quick exchange of feelings, interactions, right? And then after that, right, whether whoever gets more out of it, there'll be one who will give more, and then there'll be one that will take. Eventually, there has to come a point that both want to love and care for each other. I'm not saying that cannot happen. I'm just saying that it's just the way it is. So for me and my wife, she's a giver. She's really a giver. She's always just so much more like willing to sacrifice her time, her effort towards taking care of the family. She's always been like that. Okay, she's always been like that. She's always sensitive towards other people's feelings. Versus myself, I'm more of like, okay, because I need to fulfill objectives, I plow through a lot of things, and that makes me less sensitive, right, to my surroundings at times. So I can come across as a little bit too blunt. I can come across as I mentioned, insensitive. But this is something that I learned over time. I learned to be also less temperamental. She's very well tempered. Like, not many things get her angry, but of course she's only very annoyed when you know, our daughters don't do the work that is being given to them, stuff like that. But yeah, you know, I just hope that you guys, because it's already 30 minutes already, I don't want to usually go on for too long, and I noticed that very few are chatting at this point of time. Maybe it's because of the timing as well. Well, when I was kind of popular, 9 o'clock would be okay because it would be 8 p.m. in the US or 9 p.m. in the US. But I guess, you know, it being a Friday, you all are out for drinks or whatever. Sure, go for your drinks. But at the end of the day, drink in moderation, guys, and don't drink and drive. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next live stream.